patient enters a doctor's chamber, when patient thinks that he is actually entering the God's chamber because he is coming with a lot of hopes and other things. How you make that balance between that hope? Because at the end of the day, you are taking care of them, but you cannot know the destiny.
We cannot know the destiny. We let the patient know, but when we talk to them 1:1, they have faith in you. They say, you do your best, God's will, everything would be okay.
Compared to 40 years back when you actually started your journey, and today, what are the changes you see?
In terms of what we have, the facilities we have, the machines we have, the advances, we didn't have any at that time. So we worked with what we had and still we survived. Now we have many subspecialties in our department, oncology, infertility, fetal medicine. So things which we were referring now we are doing on our own. So we have progressed a lot, really progressed a lot. Things have changed, a big change for the better, yes, definitely.
Welcome to the another season of Hello Doc, and with me today is Dr. Achala Batra, a leading gynecologist from Safdarjung Hospital, New Delhi. So, madam, welcome to this edition.
Thank you.
And since you are in Safdarjung Hospital, I would like to know first your journey, how it started to be a medical practitioner, how you thought of getting into the medical profession, and how your journey has gone.
Well, no thoughts. I always from childhood wanted to become a doctor. So that's how it went on, giving the entrance, getting into medical college, doing my graduation from Lady Harding, then post-graduation from Safdarjung. And from there, I've been there mostly all the 40 years, except 1 or 2 years I was in a center. But my journey has been good and I love to be an obstetrician gynecologist. I won't change it for anything else.
So the second thing is, ma'am, it is a very challenging profession. And being a lady, normally a lady who works in a 10 to 5 job, and a doctor like you who work but there may be sometimes where 24 hours even are less. There may be emergencies also. So how, for a very long time, you have managed the work-life balance?
Actually, a lot of credit goes to my family. I belong to a joint family. So my in-laws, they looked after my children, they looked after the household. And my husband is also a doctor, so he supported me in everything. If I wanted to go for a training, wanted to go for a course, for a conference, there was never a no. They said they will look after the children and the household was looked after by my in-laws. So it was very smooth.
But after 40 years, don't you regret? Sometimes you have not seen your child on his first step or when he was taking his first bath or something like that.
Not really. I'm enjoying that with my grandchildren now. So,
So your daughter or son also in the same profession, man?
my daughter is a infertility specialist. My son is an entrepreneur. He's not a doctor. He never wanted to become one, seeing the busy hours. He says, no,
Yeah.
I will never become a doctor. But my daughter always, like me, wanted to become a doctor.
And another thing is, compared to working in a hospital, you are working in a hospital segment or a government hospital of such a renowned hospital. So, what are the challenges you face compared to working in just a OPD based setup? So, what are the challenges you face?
I don't think it's a challenge. In fact, when you're working in a hospital, you have an umbrella covering you, safety umbrella. When you're on your own, then, everything is your responsibility. But when you're in a big hospital, the responsibility is shared. And there's never a time that if you want to go, the things cannot go without you. There are always other people to do same things. So working in a public hospital is really good that way, for your personal life also and for your job satisfaction also. You can do whatever you want to do. You can choose whatever field you want to choose and you have support from the administration. So I think it's a very, Safdarjung is a great hospital. Has a lot of patients, gives us a lot of, job satisfaction. So I have no regret.
And when it comes to when a patient enters a doctor's chamber, When patient think that he is actually entering the God's chamber because he is coming with a lot of hopes and other things. So how you make that balance between that hope? Because at the end of the day, you are taking care of them, but you cannot know the destiny.
Yeah, we cannot know the destiny. We let the patient know, but when we talk to them one is to one, they have faith in you. And Indian patients, they have believe in God. They say, you do your best, and God, if God's will, everything would be okay. So that helps a lot. I've had very good feedbacks from my patients. I mean, I still get those 30-year-old back patients. They come with their children. So it's a gratification and feed.
So any memories, ma'am, would you like to share if some are there?
Memories are there, good and bad. There was a patient who had a rupture uterus, and I generally don't do hysterectomy, so I didn't do it. And because of that rupture, she went into sepsis. How much I prayed for her, how much I ran around every department, but we saved her. And she also, her name was Varsha. She still comes to meet me. I can never forget that my decision not to do hysterectomy at that time. How it played with her life, but fortunately we could save her ultimately.
So ultimately, it has got into a big good thing.
Yeah, I learned the lesson, not to be believe in one thing, so dogmatically that uh, you have to do this only. You should always, weigh pros and cons.
And coming to your medical fraternity, ma'am, lot of doctors would today being seeing you as their mentor.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So what is your message to those young doctors?
My message to always to my young doctor is that be empathetic to your patient and do your best. Whatever happens, if you are good to your patient and you empathize with them, you are polite with them, they will never be aggressive with you. Even if they don't have a good outcome, they'll always think of you well and not badly. So I think that personal relationship with the patient is very, very important. Being polite and sympathizing with them in their sorrow and joining them in their happiness, that really is very, very essential, which I sometimes feel is lacking in our younger generations. But my PGs and SRs who used to sit with me, if they were aggressive after sitting with me for some months, then they would say they can't get angry. So finally, their habits also changed. Yeah.
And ma'am, like compared to 40 years back when you actually started your journey and today, what are the changes you see in hospital management, in disease management, and various types of functioning in the hospitals?
One, manpower. Manpower was very less. Uh, I mean, maybe 1/10 of what we have now. But then it was very, very cohesive. We knew everyone, and still it is cohesive, but not that much. In terms of what we have, the facilities we have, the machines we have, the advances we have, we didn't have any at that time. So we worked with what we had and still we survived, and our patients then also became okay, and even now they're okay. But then for things we had to refer them, say suppose they have to have a laparoscopy or a hysteroscopy or a robotic, we had to refer. Now we could do it ourselves. Now we have many subspecialties in our department: urogynecology, oncology, infertility, fetal medicine. So things which we were referring, now we are doing on our own. So that is it. And we have this critical, we were losing patients because of lack of critical care department in our own gynaes. Now we have a high dependency unit. So we have progressed a lot, really progressed a lot. And also the administration has improved. Our hospital used to be not so clean that time. I mean, one would not think of getting somebody there, but now it is very clean, and we have outsourced the cleaning people, and things have changed. I mean, they've changed for the better. Yes, definitely.
And how do you see the change in a young girl going to medical college at 40 years?
That 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 has become I think it has deteriorated. We were really committed, we were committed to our profession, to our patients. We don't see that commitment now. They are very short. They have short tempers. They have no patience. I mean, that things have changed now. Those things, there's no relationship between patient and doctor now. No, they just come as, they something to do, they have to do, they have to finish their work. That thing is, or they want to sharpen their skills in surgery. They don't have the commitment now. That is, there only few rare doctors are there. You get and you feel very happy then. But mostly, I think it's because the way they are getting admission, they are not studying, they are doing the MCQs and getting into medicine, and then they don't have that personal touch now.
And ma'am, now I will, when I look into your 40-year career, you would have seen a variety of patients.
Yes.
So, which segment, like I think, like a lot of awareness today is there on malnutrition, which was not there 40 years back, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, how you look into the criticality of various diseases which were prevalent at older time and not so prevalent at that time, or still they are prevalent? I don't.
Yeah, we saw a lot of anemias, very severe anemias. We do see anemias. The prevalence has not changed, but the severity, definitely we see less severe anemias now. We don't see that 1 gram, 2 gram patient. We used to have a lot of MTP complications, perforation, intestine coming out. We don't see that now. We used to have PPH, APH, but we never had so much placenta accreta spectrum, which, in a week we are doing 4 patients and so many obstetric hysterectomies. Though we are also saving patients who have PPH because we have new modalities, new techniques, new sutures, new drugs. But then the placenta accreta spectrum, balances it all. But yes, things have improved also, and new things have come up in obstetrics, new problems which are not there earlier. Like we don't see MTP perforation, the intestine coming out now, because of the legality and also I think medical abortion which is available.
Yeah. And what is the prevalence now? The cervical cancer is now very prevalent.
I think the prevalence is more not because it has increased, it's more because it's being diagnosed more. We are more aware, we are catching them early, we are propagating for coming and showing themselves, screening. So definitely we are seeing more of cervical cancer, but early stage. We don't see those patients. We used to see that time, old woman coming, and when we see her, she has, terminal cancer, stage 3 or 4. We see them less often. We do see them, but less often.
So before we finish, ma'am, any particular message you would like to give to your patients, to your society, nearby society?
I think the message is charity begins at home. The doctors should also take care of themselves. A person should not depend on others. She or he should take care of herself, taking care of her nutrition, taking care of her lifestyle. We know so many diseases are lifestyle bound. Obesity is there, hypertension is there. So all these, if you take care of yourself, you will probably not have those diseases. So I think the message is that take care of yourself, doctors as well as general public, and be aware of things which can be screened like cervical cancer, breast cancer, lipid disorders, diabetes. India is a diabetic capital of world, and people are diagnosed when they have problems. So be aware of your health, take care of yourself.
And at last, ma'am, any message you would like to give to the young generation who is now want to be doctors?
Well, I would like to tell the young generation who wants to be doctors that you should know what you are getting yourself into. I'm not saying that you have to dedicate your life to your profession, but you have to make a balance between, if you are becoming a doctor, you have to make certain compromises and you should be aware of them, and don't become a doctor because you can earn well. Become a doctor because this is what you want to become.
Ma'am, in the last you have said a very important thing. Don't only become a doctor only for earning. and you need to be a doctor so that you can serve the society also, and some sacrifice has to be made, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for that lovely message, ma'am. I hope when people will listen to it, in fact, the young people who want to be doctors, they will be going with this advice.
So, okay, good day.
Thank